This is the Conscious Radio Network.
Oh, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you might be on this spaceship we call Earth. Welcome to Conscious Radio Network's what would be a recorded session, but this is a special presentation tonight because something happened. Something rare happened, very unusual, much like what we're going to talk about this evening. And but before we get into that, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. Check us out on the YouTube channel. We're everywhere. We're on Libsyn, Spotify, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and check us out on the social networks. Sponsored by Libsyn. Now, for one of our sponsors, let me go bring this up here really quick. He'd be mad. We all know him. He's been on the show. So happy October from Alexander Nemo. The veils are getting thin and the reading is easier. Contact Alexander for a reading that will help you make better decisions during your life journey. Alexander uses his talent and insight to help his clients expand awareness, understand life events, move towards freedom, and in general, to help get out of your own way. What is in the cards for you during this Halloween season? And also coming up this Monday on the Monday live weekly seance, Gloria Haas will be back on, forensic clairvoyant, medium, and author, how a traumatic brain injury affected her spiritual gifting. Now, let's jump into it. What is tonight's show all about? The Mandela effect. Yes, we all talk about it. You may have heard it. What is it? It is very, very rare. However, tonight joining us Christopher Timms. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be with you, Paul.
So I wanted to kind of let's see if I can find this here. It's not exactly show notes, but I wanted to bring this up. I wanted to bring a little bit of a medical insight to it, and kind of I wanted to show this. This came from the Cleveland Clinic, and when I was reading this a couple days ago, I was like, well, maybe this is kind of, I would say this is kind of like the clinical / critic aspect of it, and then we can get into the metaphysical aspect of it.
Okay.
So, let's see. Let's bring this up here. So, what is the Mandela effect? Is it a multiverse collective or misremembering of events within our life? The concept of the multiverse or multiple realities is a hot topic right now, but the Mandela effect has been a strange, cool phenomenon for particular discussion over the last decade. Coined by paranormal researcher Fiona Broome, the Mandela effect occurs when a large group of people remembers an event or detail that never actually occurred or existed. But how does it happen? And why are so many of us remembering things incorrectly? According to a neuropsychologist, Aaron Bonner Jackson, PhD, our brains may be creating false memories that cause this collective misremembering. How the Mandela effect actually works, and a few examples that might just blow your mind. In 2009, Broome shared a clear memory of former South African President Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 1980s. What she remembered, however, wasn't true. Mandela served 27 years in prison before released in 1990. Then he went on to serve as the first president of South Africa from 94 to 99, and he died in 2013. On its own, this intense and misremembering could be summed up as a minor confusion, but surprisingly, Broome discovered she wasn't alone. Many others online had also remembered Mandela's death incorrectly and believed he had died many years before his actual death. Thus, the term, the Mandela effect, was coined. Didn't want to read all of it; it would take up the whole show. so, there's something that just I wouldn't say recently, but I had to bring in something. I think the first thing when I started researching the Mandela effect was what was it? Ed McMahon. I clearly remember something that
Publishers
he was.
Clearinghouse.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Publishers Clearinghouse. I swore up and down that he was a spokesman
for
the Publishers Clearinghouse.
I can see him right there in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I remember that, but apparently it never happened.
Never happened. You're looking like, what?
Yeah.
Right.
And there's many others, and I'll share some pictures later as we move forth in the broadcast. So
I'm glad, because I didn't have time to put together my information about it, but you've got some nice things to share with people, and then that'll build our conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be great.
Yeah. So please, jump in, man. I want to know what your thoughts are on it.
Well, it's great. It's great to talk about this right now, because we're in a time where, as Nemo is saying, the veils are thinning, and the veils don't just pertain to the veils between layers of consciousness, like here in the afterlife, here in the other realms. It has to do with, in the multiverse, between probable realities. That imagine that, and we talked about this on one of our previous conversations just briefly, but this ties into where we're going tonight.
Yeah.
That imagine that you got a big pot of spaghetti and you're cooking it, and all the hard strands of spaghetti get soft, get squiggly, and then you throw it in the colander, rinse it all out, and now you've got a big vat or a big colander full of spaghetti, and all the strands are going every which direction all around. Each strand of spaghetti represents a probable reality, and these are all touching each other, tangent to each other, going up and down in this sphere, what we can call our field of dreams, or our morphogenic field. And so we collectively are walking down one of these strands of spaghetti, and there are many different intersections where other strands touch our strand. And those are probable realities in the multiverse that we have an opportunity collectively to steer ourselves onto, like the one where Nelson Mandela did die back in 1980, the 80s sometime, or that Ed McMahon was holding the Publishers Clearinghouse check, or things like the Soviets did start a world war at the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of things that happen, or that we continued the space program and went on and have bases on most of the planets of our solar system. All those things are probable realities, and you hear people talking about them, just like the Black Ops space programs and things, and they think it's secret. But is it a secret? Here's a great point of perception for everybody. Is it a secret, or is it really going on at another level of reality just outside of this one? And the people that are driving the bus, so to speak, in the governments and in the societies, understand about probable realities and know how to walk through and jump from one strand of spaghetti to another. We just do it collectively without really understanding that we're really doing it. But what if the people in control really understand what's going on and know how to do it?
Huh. Yeah, there's somebody or some group of people out there holding on to the knob, so to speak, and kind of like a radio.
Right.
And that begs the question too, because this was brought up just a couple months ago. That I heard some talk about CERN, and there was a group of people that got into CERN the white hats, so to speak.
Right.
And something changed. Something got turned. They were kind of, I don't know, what was happening was certain points, the on I guess the road that we were going on was purposely changed. Something happened. Something shifted based off of a black hole that had been created,
Uh-huh.
either accidentally or purposely, and something shifted. So
Yeah. Well, if we do live in a big vat of spaghetti of probable realities, then there's subconscious ways of shifting the collective, and then there's conscious ways of shifting the collective, like CERN.
yeah,
Where you could literally generate a portal that would somehow alter the whole collective face of our reality, if not just destroy it. Which is some of the theories that some of the scientists actually have, and that we shouldn't be messing around with this because you don't know. One little black hole the size of the head of a pin could destroy the nature of our universe. If it was artificially placed in where it is.
Yeah. What has been some of your experiences? You mentioned that you had
one I want to bring up first. My wife Yolanda, she and I talk about all these types of things all the time, right? This is just kind of normal reality stuff.
Yeah.
It's good to stay in check with those people that you can talk to about these things, because otherwise you tend to lose a grip on what you call reality.
Yeah.
You tend to feel really isolated. So her experience was, we mail a lot of things. Part of what I do is, I'm a sound therapist, right? I do tuning fork work. People buy custom made tuning forks from me, things that you can't get anywhere else in the world. And they're custom made for me by the manufacturer. They come to me and then I send them out. So Yolanda will have a stack of boxes getting ready to go out to the post office half a mile down the road. And most of them all go out in priority boxes, one price, good anywhere in the States.
Yeah.
And there was always $100 worth of insurance that just came with the package when you bought the deal. When you pay them, and that's good. That was great. So she had these packages, the stack of them that we're going through, and when it came time to pay the bill, she was just checking on the insurance, and I forget how the conversation came up, but the lady who was working at the post office, who she had never seen before, and we always had the same people working at the post office for a number of years. Rather odd. And she said, I've never seen this lady before. She said, well, your insurance is $50. She said, no. And Yolanda said, no, the insurance is always $100.
Yeah.
No, and the post office lady said, no, it's always been $50 on the box. And she said, no, it's always been $100 on the box. And rather than going back and forth with a postal worker, right? She just said, okay, and just paid the bill and walked out. But then she realized that something felt really odd about the whole look of the post office, and that she had never seen that woman before at all. And when she walked outside, she realized that reality had shifted just a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, those little things like, okay, the insurance was always just $100, but now it's $50. This is a different person. And it's not like we've been friends with the postal people, but you see them, you get to know who people are, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Al said, no, this person's totally new, right? So that felt odd. And then she said something felt really surreal as she left the lady's spot, was walking out of the post office, that the post office didn't look quite right. Came outside, she knew it was wrong, and then she called me from the car, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And said, "This is odd." And and I had one a number of them, but one that's very, very interesting. And I haven't talked about this too much with people, but I thought you guys would find it interesting.
Yeah.
And it's a Mandela effect, but it's from a different perspective. I was working out in the yard, and I had a stepladder set up, and I'm trimming palm fronds.
Yeah.
And some of those trees get pretty tall.
Oh yeah.
And I have the extension pole saw, the electric pole saw, and I'm trimming them, and I'm standing up on top of close to the top of the stepladder, and I can't quite reach the top one, so I get up and I'm standing on top of the stepladder where you're not supposed to stand, because it says this is not a step, right on top.
Yeah, the last two is like no.
Right. I'm standing on the very top of the thing, steadying myself on the tree, while I got the pole saw in one hand, doing this. This is just one of those stupid guy things, right?
Yeah.
So as I'm doing this, then because we're in Florida, we're on sand. So now the ladder does this, and it throws me off the step ladder. It's a 6-foot step ladder, so it throws me off the step ladder. I throw the saw away from me, but I go backwards, and I fell into the culvert. The culvert.
Yeah.
The drainage. I fell back into it, and perpendicular to it, so my head went back into it. I heard my neck go snap, completely snap, and it was a complete whiteout for a moment. And then I got up like I was an agent in the Matrix.
Yeah.
Just like, whoop, I just stood right up, and I was in a whole different reality. And Yolanda could feel it, because fortunately she was still in this reality that I just moved into. But in the reality I just left, I just died in the culvert.
Wow. Huh.
I mean, because in my health background, I have a background in chiropractic care. I know what your neck can take, and I know what your neck can't take. And I've been injured enough in sports and in construction stuff. I know what's going on. And no, it was done.
Yeah. You would have you would have been dead after that.
Yeah, I would have been dead. That angle and that much of an impact. I got right up, and it was literally, I got up and I had no pain, no soreness, nothing
Wow.
for days, nothing. I mean, I felt no pain, nothing. And Yolanda knew. She said, she's the one that told me what happened. I told her what I did. She said, you just died. This is a different reality. And I said, that's right. Because there was a blinding light. I mean, it was as white and as clear. It was sparkly white light in that moment. That was like when I was laying in the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid.
Yeah.
But it only lasted a moment. And then my body, it was like something just picked my body up, and I just stood upright, just like an agent in the Matrix, when they get
agent. Yep. Yeah.
Just like that. And so that's moving from one probability to another. Now, everybody, we do this throughout our days without such a dramatic thing happening. You come to an intersection, like when you come to a light and you turn left when you thought you needed to go straight, and then your life changes forever. You meet somebody, something happens, your whole life changes. You thought you were going straight, but you just ended up turning left. You thought you got in the wrong lane somehow, but you didn't. But you shifted realities.
Huh. So it's kind of like you were on this one strand, the spaghetti effect on it.
Right.
You were on this one strand, but also maybe out of divine intervention, so to speak, that happened. But it was like it wasn't supposed to happen. It was like, something. No, some sort of divine presence happened, and it was like, we're just going to cut that and move you over to this next strand. Boom.
Correct. And a lot of the psychic phenomena that people think about and experience are getting impressions from other parallel realities.
I think that happens to me all the time because there's
I
stuff
bet it
I
does.
see or get impressions of all the time, and sometimes I'm like, well, that can't be real, and then I'll just later on, moments down the line, it's like I'll see something or something will happen. It's like, was that prophetic or was it something I just, can't explain it, but it's wild. I mean, it. One of our audience members here, Kim, says Ed McMahon was from American Family Publishers, according to Wikipedia.
That's I believe that's true, but the probable past that everybody remembers is Publishers Clearinghouse.
Yep. Yeah, because back then that was the big house. That was the biggest one.
Yep. And he had the personality and everything. I mean, you just see it happening.
Yeah.
And, so the Mandela effect happens in a number of ways. That you said you have some graphics, some things to show people.
Yeah, let me bring the first one up. This is the one that is most commonly referred to or talked about is the Berenstain Bears. Was it Berenstein or Berenstein? So right now, it was all apparently according to our time, the timeline, the real timeline it's the Berenstain or Berenstain, which is the second one. But the first one apparently is what everybody remembers. EIN and not AIN. So, yeah. So
that seems to be a subtle difference, but yet there's really clear memories in the pronunciation difference.
Yeah.
People go, no, that's not right.
And I remember, and here's the thing is like, I didn't watch too many cartoons back then. I mean, I did, but not enough to actually really pay attention to it.
Right.
I mean, who really did? I sure didn't. But maybe some of those out there do remember this. I'm not sure. But as far as the Looney Tunes, apparently the original logo of the Looney Tunes was TOONS, like cartoons. But apparently that never was real. It was TUNES, like the notes.
Right.
Let me bring that up. So here's the comparison. So, which was it? Yeah. So, right?
Yeah. So really, the questions are with these things, everyone. What does this mean? What does this mean? This means that we're living in a big bowl of spaghetti of probable realities. Where one of the things that I've taught in my lectures for all of these years, I've been teaching for 35 years, is that the past, here's a great definition of the past, and this was way before anybody was talking about the Mandela effect. The past is just what you think you remember of what you thought you once experienced.
Yeah.
That's the past. Because even cellular memory is not an objective thing. Cellular memory, your body remembers everything, but it remembers it through the filters of your own likes and dislikes, your own fears and joys, your own filters, the prism of your personality.
Yeah.
So the past is what you think you remember of what you thought you once experienced. So once we unhinge ourselves from the attachment we have to our past being remembered correctly and clearly, then we free ourselves in our consciousness to float into the possibilities of different realities that would fulfill us more, would bring the adventures, the excitement that we're looking for in our lives, the satisfaction, and it would take us out of things that we don't want to be a part of. Like literally, when someone's experiencing health issues, that's on this strand of spaghetti. But on the other strand of spaghetti right over here, there are no health issues.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah. And that's what's happening when people experience a lot of the healing work is when I'm reshaping someone's waveform with the tuning forks, or when there's other talented people doing healing work, when there's a miraculous shift in symptoms, people will say, well, I was healed. Well, okay, that's a way of understanding it. But what you really did is you shifted reality.
Yeah.
You just jumped to another strand of spaghetti.
Yeah.
It's another way of languaging it, Paul.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to memory, as far as the flawless, and our perception is flawed. Our senses are flawed. Now, when it comes to the experience and actually really experiencing something, I remember talking to a couple, trial lawyers in recent past and in the past, and they always told me that not even today, the judicial system, or the legal system likes to use eyewitness testimony, especially when it comes to when a long time has passed.
Right.
They try to avoid that at all possible. Because what you do remember does disappear. I mean, you could have seen one particular thing, but later on, 5 years, 10 years down the line, will you actually remember it, or will you put in place certain details that really weren't there?
We do. And people can prove that to themselves by going to a high school reunion after about 20 years and then talk to people about stuff that happened in high school that everybody knew about, everybody was a part of, but everybody remembers different fragments and parts and versions of the story.
Yeah. 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 Let me bring this other one up. This is my favorite because it was one of my favorite cartoons. Wonder if anybody remembers this one. The Flintstones. Now, was it the Flintstones or was it the Flintstones? I remember to be honest with you. I think it was the Flintstones. I never noticed the two T's in it. Always just the one. But yeah, I always remembered one T. But yeah, that's one of them. Yeah, right. So the second one is apparently what it always was. With the two T's. Yeah. The first one is what we thought, and the second one is what it was or always has been. I'm like, I'm like, no. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, me too. I've never had that two T's in there. It wasn't Flintstones. It was always Flintstones. But I don't know. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. But there were so many. There were so many out there that I could have put up and stuff like that.
Yes.
But there is one, or at least got to save and showed everybody that. But there's another one. I think Curious George. Is it Curious George? Yeah,
Yes,
Curious George. The monkey on Curious George. Apparently, he had a tail.
Right.
He never had a tail.
No.
So there was one with a tail and one without a tail. So.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
So these are little details again, everybody, but they signify our collective awareness. Now, as everybody in the collective didn't have a remembrance that Nelson Mandela passed away in the 80s, but many people did.
Even I did. I remember that. I remember seeing a movie many years ago about his death,
about his passing.
about his passing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember hearing about that in news articles and all kinds of stuff. I remember that. And it's like, whoa, no way. And he just recently passed. Yeah. In 2013?
2013. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, weird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
So it just shows you really the importance of just what the lawyers were talking with you about, and that not to be attached to our past, being an accurate remembrance. The further we get away from an event, the more subjective our memories become.
yeah. Yeah. I'm seeing if I can bring up some other images. If I can try, see how well it does. I may have to zoom in. Let's see how this works. So yeah, the R2-D2, you can't really see it, but apparently he had in a portion of the movie he had a silver leg. And because in the movie he lost his leg, and they in that big caravan they put the leg back on, but it was the wrong one. Yeah. And he was always walking around with that leg. But I do not remember it. Yeah. Yeah, the Monopoly guy. Now, apparently the Monopoly guy never wore a monocle. Ever. He never wore a monocle. But so that's what we remember. So the second one just shows him not without him. I remember the monocle. Yeah. It's like, what? Yeah. There's the Curious George right there. Yeah, yeah. So apparently we remember him with a tail, but he never had a tail. Yeah. Yeah.
Validity of what we call our recollection, our past, our memories.
Yeah.
All of this, and not to be attached to it. And really it's here to tell us to be here in the present, because that's where the magic of our life really lives, is in the present, not in the past and not in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, do you think there is, like, now Dolores chimes in, she's a control to make us question our reality? Do you think that there might be something nefarious going on? Because sometimes I think about that. Now, when I brought up that CERN thing, and maybe they are messing with some sort of
The
time
nature
shift from gateway.
Right. And technology to shift into probabilities of their own desire.
Yeah.
I mean, you could theoretically, because of the nature of the multiverse, there are probabilities that exist that run in our bowl of spaghetti of probable realities, where the Nazis won World War II. And we're all speaking German right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so if the people who are in control are basically multiple generations later of the Nazis, which they are, because the Nazis were never really defeated. They just changed their clothes, and moved to America. Project Paperclip, we know that, and other adventures in different parts of the world. That's what a lot of the Ukraine is about, is about the Nazis. And if those people are really in control of a lot of the technology, as remember, the Germans were way ahead.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
A lot of the Allies in technology, right? And rocketry in advanced magnetism and science, fuel sciences and things. And if they're running CERN, which they probably are,
Yeah.
They could be looking for that strand of spaghetti where they could just suck our entire collective right into the portal, and no one would ever know that, oh, we're all speaking German all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's how reality can shift collectively.
Yeah, because I'm sure you probably experienced this too. That there's some days it's very rare, but when it does happen, I'll wake up, but when I do, and normally this is on a weekend, when I don't have to work, but it has happened on days during the week. But I wake up and something just very unusual just reality feels weird. I mean, I'm going about my day and I'm like I normally do, just waiting for something to just hit me in the head like with a stone, for me to notice it. But normally I don't notice it. It's almost like I'm ignoring it. Like I don't want to know, but I just keep moving forward, just thinking that the day's normal, but something does feel weird. It doesn't feel normal.
Yes, and that goes back to the very first comment that Nemo made actually on his advertisement about the thinning of the veils.
Yeah.
The ability we have in our bowl of spaghetti of probable realities here to shift is much more fluid now than it even was 5 years ago. And that's that feeling, that surreal kind of feeling that's around all the time. There's a volatility to the nature of our reality, which is expressed as possibilities that surround us. It's our field of dreams, our morphic field. And like as we were talking about, a lot of the miraculous experiences are people individually, not collectively shifting, but individually shifting. And Yolanda had an amazing experience. We were on a contracting job together a number of years ago. And we were cleaning up after the job, and she was carrying a bucket of tools or something, out to my truck.
Yeah.
And she stepped off the curb. And when she stepped off the curb, she twisted her ankle. She was carrying a heavy bucket, and her ankle went snap.
Ooh.
It snapped like to break your ankle. And she said it bent 90 degrees.
Yeah.
I mean, it literally bent sideways, snap. Wow. And she felt it, and it began to swell up. It was hugely painful, of course, right? And she grabbed her ankle and she said, "This is not an acceptable reality." And she didn't look at it. She just held her hands over her ankle, and she just kept repeating it. "This is not an acceptable reality." And then the whole thing went away.
What?
The whole thing went away.
Like it never happened.
Like me falling in the culvert.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And so if I remember correctly, I was walking down the driveway. I saw her fall, and I heard the snap from like 15 feet away. I mean, it was a big deal. But it's that within our consciousness, when you're integrated enough within your own spiritual work, when you're not a bunch of fragments inside your own head, the committee, once you've integrated yourself enough, then by you speaking out loud saying, "This is not an acceptable reality," then things return to their homeostasis. Things will return to their equilibrium. So that shifted her personal reality right out of that broken one. That still exists, just like the Bay of Pigs, where the Russians actually launched nukes. That exists. It exists where the Germans won World War II. All the different probabilities that you can imagine exist in the multiverse, limitless.
Yeah. Huh.
the in the Egyptian Book of Dead, they call that field the field of reeds.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
field of
yeah,
reeds.
I remember that.
There's field of reeds. That's
Yeah.
how you've gone through the different trials, and Horus walks you into the field of reeds, and the reeds represent cosmic strings because
Yeah.
the reeds blow in the wind and they oscillate in the water, which create all the possibilities of our existence. And that's how the Egyptians, using the symbols of their time, expressed that.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what we live in. So when you speak clearly and with all of your being, saying this is not an acceptable reality, then that's what happens.
Oof. Man. How long ago did that happen?
We were living in the other house. That was probably about 12 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
Pretty wild.
Yeah. Oof. Dolores says, so we three are on the same noodle. Now those watching. Yeah. And I replied, yeah, for now.
We're on the same noodle. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. You know,
She
if
did earlier say
starts growing, you know, and all of that happens. If his background changes instantly, then, you know, we've shifted strands somehow, you know.
Yeah. She said she's 67. He did pass, and when she was younger, so she remembers it as well.
Yeah, right.
As far as Nelson Mandela.
That's right. And we all experience this Mandela effect. How many times have you thought that people could just kind of disappear out of your life? That you've known. But then if you go talk to some other people about, hey, whatever happened to so and so? They don't know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Huh.
You know, I remember talking to people about that when I was younger, and you know, I was questioning my own sanity, thinking, well, I've just done one too many acid trips, right? Yeah. Right. You know, but then you realize, no, reality's actually shifted.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, one of the books that really helped me understand that many years ago was Jane Roberts. Jane Roberts, she channeled an entity called Seth.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And the book is called The Nature of Personal Reality. And I still have it sitting on my shelf. And it's still a profound book.
Yeah.
40 years later, after the effect, it's still profound.
Yeah. I think they also talk about that in the I am. What's the I am? Yeah. Raw. Yeah, the raw I am.
Oh, the raw material.
Like, the raw material.
Yeah.
There's like 4 or 5 books of those.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah.
You know, so we're all swimming through limitless possibilities, navigating ourselves through one strand of spaghetti to another throughout the days and years, centuries of our existence. It's pretty amazing to think about.
Yeah.
We do it individually. Go ahead.
Yeah. And Kim's funny. She goes, I hope it's a gluten-free noodle.
Right. Thanks. Right.
Right on. Yeah, she just started listening to okay, I guess there's an audio book for it. She started listening to that book. Okay.
I don't know which one she's referring to, whether it's the raw material or the nature of personal reality.
Yeah. I think nowadays you can get them everything on audio if you're lucky. Yeah. Man. But yeah, it's I think there was did they make it? No, they didn't make a movie about it yet. Wait, no. There is a movie of the Mandela effect, I think. I know there's one about the butterfly effect, the one with Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if there's one about the Mandela effect. I don't think I've seen that one. I remember passing it by through online and stuff. Yeah, it says Rotten Tomatoes Mandela effect.
The butterfly effect really ties into the Mandela effect too. For people that don't really know what that is, that's a physics principle you could call flow. And that means that, if a butterfly flaps its wings in Australia, it's going to affect the dynamics of something that happens in New York City.
Yeah.
It's just that everything is connected to everything else so intimately, so personally, and as humans, one of the things that we fall into in our psychology is trying to separate ourselves from that which we are inseparable from, which is life. We want to have mine. This is mine and that's yours, as far as space and psychology and all this. And I understand those sensations. Sometimes you just want to walk with yourself in nature, and sometimes you just don't want to be immersed in society. But we're always connected with everything, everybody, everywhere, all the time.
Yeah, we're all part of that collective. I think that's also, there's another book series too, the Book of One, and the Law of One.
The Law of One.
That we're all connected to this, the part of the ether, this glue, this envelope of space, time, everything, and that when when we were in high school or college, we always learned that there's all this empty space and whatnot. No, everything is solid. There's like this giant solid mass, or thinking like the solid mass, that there is technically no space between objects. It's an illusion. We're all connected when you look at it as far as energy and stuff like that.
Yes, and we've always been.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing, and that's why The Wizard of Oz is such a profound story, because Dorothy's just getting back to the place she never really left.
Yeah. She never did leave. She never did leave Kansas.
No, right.
Yeah.
And so, for us, perhaps also from that story, the hero of The Wizard of Oz is Toto. Because Toto is the one that pulls back the curtain, revealing that the wizard is just a person like anybody else and has no special anything. And so in our world today, we're moving, as we dawn into the age of Aquarius, beyond the time of messiahs and gurus and so-called masters, to a time where we realize our own divinity, where we claim, and we realize that each of us has the courage of the cowardly lion and the brain of the scarecrow and the heart of the tin man. And Dorothy always had the ability to get back to that place that she never really left.
Yeah. And as far as the Mandela effect, that we've been, for those who've tuned in or have just tuned in or have been watching, that the Mandela effect, and how I view it, is it's evidence, much like all kinds of things that we face on a day-to-day basis, or we've all witnessed, such as like deja vu, or the Mandela effect, that there is alternate realities, that we live in a multiverse, that we share a collective, that we are all one. And another example too is if anybody out there that practices mediumship, and actually sit down and actually do mediumship seances and bring in spirit and speak to spirit and conduct work with spirit, the phenomenon of apportation, bringing in and moving physical objects through the veil,
right,
is evidence of a multiverse.
Right.
Well,
absolutely, it is. And that's becoming more and more of not a commonplace event, but it's becoming more and more experienced by people in different parts of the world now, as those veils are thinning. because it isn't as much of a vibrational change as it was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
As our frequency reaches that threshold into the other realms, it becomes much easier for all of us to access those insights, for the mediums to do their type of work, psychics, and for us to have the imaginations and the dreams of what our lives can be. That's much easier, much more available for us.
Yeah. Another idea too is as far as the exchange of objects or objects moving from one place to another. Something as simple as, all right, everybody can relate to this. Like you put your keys down and you go to that particular place to grab the keys and are not there. And you're like, oh my God, I had those keys right there. Where are they? I know I put them there. So you're searching all over the house. You're searching your pockets, car, everywhere. And then suddenly you go to another place in the house and there they are. But you knew you didn't put them there. You know for a fact you didn't put them there, but they moved. So
that's right. And there's all types of objects, and many times we will language those things, and everyone's experienced that. You put your keys down, you put items down, a hairbrush, you put something down, and it's not where you put it. Clothes, tools for me all the time.
Yeah.
And we'll language that as being, well, they're messing with you again.
And sometimes they do. It's not to discount spirit. Sometimes they do that.
It's not. It's not. That's right. But here's a reality question for you. Yeah. What is the difference between an entity, an elemental, a spirit from another realm, taking your hairbrush and putting it on the other side of the room, hiding your keys, putting them somewhere like in your pants, where you would have not left them, right? Somewhere absurd. What's the difference between that and shifting strands of spaghetti?
Mm-hmm. There is not much of a difference.
No. Perhaps the difference is within our own languaging and interpretation of the experience.
Yeah.
Because the higher you get in consciousness, the more you see everything as a reflection of yourself. So all the different spirits, the ancestors, the ascended masters, the guides, everybody, ultimately, when you get high enough in the pyramid, are just different archetypes from within your own consciousness.
Yeah.
So, and all of this, I know this is a huge conversation to have, in this format, but the Mandela effect, the butterfly effect too, these are doorways into this kind of conversation, which is so important for people to have. Ultimately it's all you. When people drop into channeling, who are they channeling? If all life is one, all they're really channeling are aspects of themselves.
Yeah.
Who are your guides? Aspects of yourself. Who are the ascended masters? Aspects of yourself. And I tell people, if you want to see the second coming of Christ, go look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Right. If all life is one, and if all life is not one, then you're kind of lost.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's a big jump. I just wanted to throw that sandwich into the meal of the evening, because that's a really good one for people to chew on.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what the show is about, man. Just to get people thinking, going, oh man.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We got to think. That's what makes us productive. That's how we evolve. We got to think outside the box. We can't be stuck in this bubble. We got to bust out and go, all right, we got to free ourselves, like Neo in the Matrix.
Right.
We're stuck in the Matrix. We believe certain things, fed certain things, and we believe certain things, and this is the way to get out of the box. Start talking about it. Start analyzing it. Start questioning it. Ask questions.
That's right. Right. And the real, to me, Paul, these types of programs that you put on are so important because they give us an opportunity to splash into a great conversation about something and just give people things to chew on, just to consider, because that's really what it's about. It's about poking at you. It's about breaking down the walls of the box, seeing what's outside there.
Yeah. Now, with you working with sound, sound energy and sound fields and stuff like that, have you stumbled upon anything, any revelations, with the sound work that you do? Maybe not necessarily with the Mandela effect, but have you noticed any kind of shifts, anything like, whoa, I think I just opened up something. Opened up
Sure.
Pandora's box.
Yes. A number of people have mentioned at the expos when I get cranking, and I'm just, how I'm doing one person after another most of the time, and I'm just in this zone. People will say that they show up at the booth and they just hang out at the booth because it's like they're in this bubble. And it is. There's a bubble of possibilities.
Yeah.
And when people come in, they hear the chanting, playing through the tables, the sound tables, they get on. Most people that I tune have never been tuned. They never know there was such a thing as getting tuned with tuning forks and what their chakras are and all this stuff. And I tell them all the same thing. Your job is to do absolutely nothing for the next 10 minutes. Just chill.
Yeah. Relax. Relax and submit.
Right? And just let it go. And it is like being in a bubble. So, I've noticed that. And just even at the expos, just amazing things happening with people on the table. Just amazing things, symptoms going away, pain going away, all types of different energies and things. People come in with energies attached to them. Nemo sends me people often that have that he does. He says, with attached entities is what some people will language it as. Yeah. And I've had entities literally lunge out of people at me when I'm working on the table. Because you'll hit a point and you'll stir up the energy to free them, and the entity doesn't want to go because it's vicariously using that person for whatever purposes it wants, and it'll lunge out at me, but then I just keep going, and then it basically just diffuses and just goes away, and I just hold my space.
Because the person that's sitting that you're doing the work on, did they realize that? Did they feel that that release energy or that entity?
No, and this one person that I'm speaking about at a Spirit Fest on a Saturday night, a bunch of us had a dinner, and you weren't there, and I was telling Mary Ellen and everybody about this client that I worked on that came for her 10-minute tuning, and I said this entity lunged out at me when I'm working on this woman. And Nemo said, "Oh yeah, that was the lady I sent you." And I said, "Oh, thank you so much." Thank you. He said, "Yeah, I couldn't do anything with that. I knew you could deal with it." And so it's everybody. I know it sounds confusing because in one light I'm saying that all life is one, but we live in a world that is not a contradiction. It's a paradox. We live in dualism. So there's me and you. But ultimately, there's not.
Yeah.
There's just the great I am. So we have to live within that paradox of me pretending that I'm separate from my wife and my kids and you and everybody on the program, everybody, and the trees, but yet I'm one with it all too.
Yeah.
Oh, does that make sense?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
kind of walking between the worlds.
Yeah. But as far as any of the listeners and those that are watching tonight, definitely if you have an experience that you would like to share, comment. Comment after. You can come back and watch this again. Or make comments and likes on this channel, on this particular video. Share those, because what I'd like to do is like collect all these, and then we can do another show on this. Kind of revisit this topic, and maybe get some of the listeners and viewers on the air.
That'd
Maybe
be
you can
great.
call in, or and we'll kind of do a series of it and stuff like that.
I think it merits it.
Yeah, because I have a feeling. I have a feeling it's not over. It's never going to be over. We might possibly be experiencing some more stuff. Over the course of the next, I don't know, few years, 10 years.
Yes.
I don't know. It's hard to say, but there's going to be more shifting going on, and I'd like to hear everybody's responses and experiences. So.
Yes.
Yep.
I would too. And Paul, it's just something for everyone to reflect on as we do our own spiritual work, our own spiritual practices elevate us. It's your own personal ascension process. And as that happens, you stay lucid and conscious when the collective around you shifts realities. And that's how, like, Yolanda realized that the reality had shifted when she went to the post office.
Yeah.
And that's how I knew that I was in a different reality when I snapped my neck and then got up like an agent in the Matrix. And there's the more aware you are of your true self, and this has to do with your own spiritual practice, as you cultivate your own inner peace, inner stillness, then you stay lucid, and the rest of the collective around you just shifts. They don't even know anything shifted.
Yeah. What's crazy too is like it's kind of like this fluttering going on, because I'm seeing it as a one. This one body, and of many different consciousnesses, but they're like, every now and then they'll just pulsate. All these individuals will just pulsate, and everything is switching and phasing into different realities and continuously, and it's always happening.
It's always happening. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. The limits on it are our ability to decode it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. It's our field of dreams surrounding us, limitless possibilities. That's it. It's just our ability to decode it translates it into all this.
Huh. Man.
So this is pretty cool. Dolores made an interesting comment about, the ancient languages, ancient Aramaic and original Hebrew, also those languages, and we can do a whole series on ancient languages.
Yeah. Even the Hebrew language, the alphabet has so many. Each character in that language too is coded with numerical, alphanumerical.
That's correct.
All kinds of.
Absolutely. Wow. Just like the Aramaic language is, and the Sumerian language was as well. And those languages were built, and this is a doorway into another whole program for you, without nouns. None of those ancient languages have nouns. So when you look outside and you see what we call a tree, there is no such thing as a tree in Aramaic, in Hebrew, in Sumerian, and there were only verbs, and it takes someone who's thinking out of the box to really begin to translate those languages properly. And when in the Aramaic language, when I would be looking at a tree, the way we would translate that from Aramaic would be that's God treeing. Everything to them was a verb. So everything from them for the ancient people was, there was only one of them. See, nouns segregate everything. They're a bunch of nouns, bunch of different things. Car, tree, person, right? Shoe, foot, right? No, there's only one. And no matter what you're looking at, oh, that's God treeing. Oh no, that's God. That's God booking. Here's God computering. Here's God calling over here.
Yeah.
You know, right? Isn't that cool? See, so their language was reminding them of what's called the Abun. The Abun from the Aramaic, that's God, soul, spirit, self, and body, everything all wrapped up into one.
Yeah. Yeah. The action of being, in a sense. Yeah, the action of being.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah. Man, we can go on forever.
Yes,
it's been an hour, and yeah, it didn't. I tell you what, we must have been in a some sort of time warp, because it did not feel like an hour. Seems like we just started.
Well, we always have a good time when we get to be with each other. We didn't get to see each other very much.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna make it out that way. We're on your neck of the woods sometime, man. Gonna check out the sound tables and
Yeah.
you know, chill out and have some conversations. Maybe get a pick up some veggie dishes and stuff like that.
That's right. Yolanda can make some great food, and we would love to have you.
Awesome. Well, about to wrap it up. It's the thank you everybody for chiming in, for watching tonight. Normally it's a recorded show, but it's live. So the first one for unlocking mysteries of the universe, and we've unlocked quite a bit. We've talked a lot of bit. We've been outside of the box, inside, outside, around, above, everywhere. And if you do have any of our audience members out there that have some stories to tell, experiences of the Mandela effect, please share them. Comment, and share your experiences, because looking at possibly gathering some of those experiences and coming back and revisiting this topic again. But other than that, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. We just keep on rolling, and show just keeps getting better. So, but anything new happening on your side of the woods?
I don't have the dates with me. This is all last minute for me. I've got workshops coming up at the end of October. 2 online workshops. One has to do with all things psychic from the mystic's point of view.
Yeah.
And I know in December, I'm doing the first time I've ever done a sound certification program, and that'll be a whole weekend intensive at the Hilton here in Melbourne. Crystal bowls, bells, tuning forks, toning, chanting, sounding, everything. All things sound, the physics of sound, the metaphysics of sound, the history of sound, and that'll be a great weekend.
And you're going to be in the Port St. Lucie, correct?
No, that's the only Spirit Fest I'm not going to be into. Yolanda and I are going to go on vacation next week, taking the motorhome up north. Going to go see Fall Colors and go visit family.
Oh, nice.
Hike up in the mountains in Pennsylvania and do some good stuff for a little while. It'll be about a week and a half. And that'd be the first time I've had a vacation in probably 20 years.
Wow.
So, right. Right. That's what kids and grandkids will do to you.
Yeah.
And, but anything you want to ask me about, you can go right to my website, All Things Christopher Timms, and that's www.christophertimms.com, of course.
Let me throw that up there real quick. Got that on the banner. I didn't forget about that. But yeah, if you want to go visit his website, www.christophertims.com.
That's it.
Right there we go. Cool.
And YouTube has been pulling YouTubes off of my channel, telling me that they're not appropriate, you know, and I haven't put a new YouTube up in 2 years. You and I talked about this in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't done anything new on YouTube at all. Everything I have is on BitChute or on Gab, and they're just hell bent on censoring. And now I have about 4 different Facebooks, and now they won't let me post from my personal Facebook to any of my business Facebooks. I have to log out and then go into them, copy and paste, and put in all those. So everybody, the reason I'm bringing this up at the end, and then we'll call it a night, is it's symptoms of the end of the system. And it should be a great motivation for all of us to work on our own personal practices, elevate ourselves, and let's shift out of this reality where we don't have censorship. We don't have filtering. We don't have shadow banning. We don't have any of this stuff. We have the liberties and the freedoms that spiritually are our natural inheritance and endowment.
Yeah. Yeah. And we touched base on that. Wasn't the last time we were on? We did that show about shifting of the new age of Aquarius.
Yes.
We're moving out of this the old age of Pisces into the age of the Aquarius.
Correct.
So
yeah,
and this is one of the symptoms.
It is. So while I don't like it, I understand what it's about.
Yeah.
I don't want to thank you, Paul, for asking me to be a part of this evening. And
you are very welcome. Thank you for being part of it.
To be able to, it's always nice to be able to hang with you whenever I can. I always will.
Awesome. Well, brother, you have a wonderful night. Namaste, my friend. Blessings and safe travels too on that vacation of yours. Take plenty of pictures.
Oh, we're going to. It'll be great. It'll be a lot of fun. Yolanda and I and Sweetie Pie, that's our little pit bull. She'll be with us in the RV. It'll be a lot of fun.
Right on.
That's it.
Cool. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Conscious Radio Network's Unlocking Mysteries of the Universe series, the unusual live edition. And everybody, you have a wonderful night, and I will see you Monday. Tune in Monday night. We'll have Gloria Haas on. But until then, we'll see you then.